Well, yes, that actual question about testing, whether it's going to be relevant to how the teams are going to perform in Melbourne. Firstly, I think no. The reason? They're only shaking down the cars. They're getting used to the new regulations because when it was the first day of testing at Jerez, it was the first day back at school. So the drivers who had, who had come back, obviously Kimi, Romain, and everyone else, and obviously including the rookies as well. It really gives the teams an opportunity to test the new machinery. And yes, obviously the E20 from Lotus F1 was instantly quick in the hands of the Iceman. Fair enough. But as the week progressed, we saw that other teams were doing combinations of low fuel, high fuel runs, different downforce and setup configurations, obviously getting used to the 2012 Pirelli rubber, where we saw Michael Schumacher in the 2011 car for Mercedes AMG F1, which did have a 2012 configuration with the nose, the rear wing, the exhaust and everything like that, and was fastest on day 3. Teams have said that they will be upgrading their packages. Obviously McLaren are using a slightly different exhaust system to what was shown on the MP427 show car at the MTC on the 1st of February. So obviously they've been developing their exhausts, what they're doing, their configurations. Sauber have said they will upgrade their car, the C31, and said it will be different to the actual initial car that rolled out at the Valencia tests. A lot of teams will be having upgrades between now and Melbourne, so we'll see the cars getting progressively quicker and quicker when we go to Barcelona, and then when the first F1 set of tyres hits the track in anger at Melbourne, we're going to see the true reflective pace of these cars, and whether anyone's been able to do anything to not so much circumnavigate the new 2012 restrictions, but who's interpreted it the best. So until we get to Melbourne, we don't know. Ferrari in the infamous wind tunnel scenario. Yes, I think this has been going on since 2009. So you can understand that Ferrari are probably pretty worried, especially Stefano Domenicali, the team principal, who's been in the role for a number of years now and has had, he's had more success with his number 1 driver than the number 2 driver, namely Fernando Alonso, who has driven, like say, the F150th Italia and the F6, and the previous, and obviously the previous incarnation the year before. But I think Ferrari's troubles really started on the F60 in 2009, where it was a very difficult car for the 2 drivers at the time, the Iceman Kimi Raikkonen and Felipe Massa. So it's been going on for 3 years now, and obviously Ferrari must be feeling a bit under pressure and uncomfortable, to say the least, when you've got Luca Di Montezemolo breathing down your neck saying you need to get results. And obviously Domenicali and Massa might find that their heads will be on the chopping block at the end of the season, but we don't know if there's sandbagging yet. So it's early days. We've only had 1 test at Jerez, and obviously we've got Barcelona yet to go. So we'll see, I think, probably within the first couple of races, whether they are concerned and whether they need to do something drastic to get themselves back on top. Test drivers should really be testing, no disrespect to Jules Bianchi, during Friday practices, and obviously the other duties they have, such as simulator work, straight line aero testing. I think it was a bit unfortunate that Jules binned it in the gravel, but it's a mistake. What top name driver doesn't make mistakes? I mean, Alonso's made them, Hamilton's made them, Button's made them. A lot of them have made them over their careers. So we won't go into that really too much. I think really from Force India's point of view, they should have put Nico Hülkenberg and Paul di Resta as the main guys testing the car. The reason for this, They are the ones that are going to give the engineers their primary source of information and feedback on how the cars are handling, whether it understeers, oversteers, if there's too much brake bias here, there, so there's so many different configurations that the race driver will be able to try and optimise their setup. So it was a no-brainer that Force India should have said to Jules, look, we'll put you in Friday practice at Melbourne, wait until then. Then we may not have had this, this misfortunate accident happen. But, I think at the end of the day, one motto stands true on this: you live and you learn by your mistakes. So we'll see what happens when we go to the next test, whether Force India decide to stick Jules in the car again, because he was clearly embarrassed by it, and what test driver wouldn't be embarrassed by accidentally binning the car into the gravel or hitting the wall through a driver error. And also coming back to the information, obviously Paul and Nico are going to need to get used to the 2012 rubber, the new regulations. Obviously Nico's been out of the car for a year, so he's got to acclimatise a lot quicker than he might anticipate to get himself back up to race speed, but I'm sure he'll be back on the pace when we get to Melbourne. Well, I can't believe it. A month until Australia. Oh, I mean, the air's palpable with the tension, the excitement, the anticipation of what looks to be a fantastic season for Formula One this year. And I think a lot of people are looking forward to, no disrespect to Red Bull Racing, they've done a fantastic job, but it could be that we could see some other team becoming the new force in F1. I mean, let's face it, if Mercedes and Force India and Lotus really push the top three, McLaren, Red Bull and Ferrari, really hard, then we could see a great, fantastic fight all the way from the top to maybe even the back end of the grid. So this could open things up. What have I been doing to prepare myself for the F1 season? Well, I've been doing a couple of things, obviously, with my new view, as you will, not a blog anymore, not just Alex's view. We recently did a 5-part look forward to 2012 with a few good friends of mine on Twitter, including Gary Marshall, Jack Leslie, Shu Vetalainen, Bon Von Hutch, and also Ilaria F1. Thanks to them for actually contributing, by the way, to help sort of bring in the new season with a bang, so to speak. So that's one way I've been preparing. Also with the fan formula, it's a great way to get yourself motivated towards the season, and I think it's a fantastic concept. So if you haven't done it, you're missing out. I mean, I started with one written response, and now I'm doing video responses, and I think it's so much better because you actually get to see the person behind the comments, which is fantastic, and it's another way to prepare myself for the season ahead. Well, there's two other things really. I'm a great fan of the fantastic webcast The Flying Lap with Peter Windsor. It's fantastic, his insight, his passion, his emotion with regards to Formula One. But then also, finally, there is the Final Sector F1 Fans Forum. There are still over 120 tickets left. I'm part of the Final Sector crew as well. I still have to buy a ticket on the 4th of March, and this is 2 weeks before the F1 season kicks off, and Peter's coming back. I've got Peter Windsor, Craig Scarborough and Dan Wells. 3 great people, and it looks to be a fantastic evening. So just before the kick-off of the season. So that's really another way of preparing myself, and at some point I've got to get myself a McLaren top because I am a McLaren fan. So yeah, really looking forward to the season and excited, motivated, just waiting to see what these boys can do this season. I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you are too.